Good morning. In this video, we'll discuss about the automated material handling and storage system. In this, the first thing is, what is material handling system? One of the material handling industry of America has defined a material handling system as the movement, storage, protection, control of a material throughout the manufacturing and distribution process, including their consumption and disposal. That means starting from the material till the material disposes, what are all the equipments used to transfer the material is called as material handling system here. And the second thing is how this material handling system should perform. This material handling system should perform accurately. Accurately in the sense, the right material in the right quantity to the right location. That is accurate here. And also it should perform safely, efficiently, at low cost, in a timely manner, and also it should not damage the work material. And the next thing is different types of material handling equipments. There are several types of material handling equipments. These are grouped into 4 groups. The first one is transport equipment. The transport equipment means the movement of material inside the factory or the warehouse or other facilities. This is further divided into 5 types. First one, industrial trucks. These industrial trucks are of 2 types. First one is non-powered trucks. In this non-powered trucks, the trucks are pulled or pushed by the human operators to the required location. And the second one is powered trucks. In these powered trucks, these trucks are steered by the human workers, where the human workers will steer the trucks and move to the required locations. And in transport equipment, the second one is AGVs. These AGVs are automated guided vehicles. They are driverless battery powered vehicles where the predefined paths are programmed to these vehicles. These predefined paths will show the required location for automated guided vehicles. And the next third one is monorails and other rail guided vehicles. These rail guided vehicles are self-propelled vehicles that ride on a fixed rail systems. These rail systems is either on the floors or suspended from the ceilings. These vehicles operate independently and are usually driven by the electrical motors that pick up power from the electrified rails. Next, conveyor system. Already we have discussed this conveyor system in a previous unit. So, some of the example of conveyors are belt conveyor, roller conveyors, chain conveyors, skate wheel conveyors, tow line conveyors, etc. Next, cranes and hoist. These cranes and hoist are used for lifting and lowering the materials. Often these cranes and hoists are used for heavy loads. Hoists are used for vertical lifting and cranes are provided for horizontal travel. These cranes includes one or more hoists. Next, we'll go for the second one, storage systems. Here, any company or manufacturing industry must give the consideration to the most appropriate method for storing of materials. Here the method for storing of materials are classified into 5 types. First one is bulk storage. In this bulk storage, there is no requirement of storage equipment, or little requirement of storage equipment is enough for this. In this type, the materials simply stored in a open floor area. The material in the sense, the pallet loads or the container loads will be stored in an open space. That is called as bulk storage. And second one is rack system. As you all know, the rack system in your house, if you are using the wardrobes, you will see the racks. In the different racks you will use, different items will be kept. Similarly, here also in industries, the rack system will be used based on their requirements. Here the structural frames are designed to stack units load vertically. This vertical system will help for larger storage compared to the bulk storage. Third one is shelving and bins. Shelving you will see in your kitchen rooms, where for keeping the bigger vessels in the top of the kitchen, the shelves will be made. Similarly, based on the requirements in the industry, they will make a shelving. And bins you will see in your work study and ergonomics labs. In nut and bolt assemblies, you will use bins, where you will take the nuts and bolts in different bins. And fourth one is drawer storage. This drawer storage is more convenient than shelving, because in shelving it will keep on the top or at the lower or at the deep. So it is very difficult to handle the materials. In case of drawer storage, it will be small, it is easy to handle. This drawer storage is generally used for small tools, hardwares and other small items. And last one is automated storage systems. This consists of two things again. First one is ASRS, that is automated storage and retrieval system. We'll come back to that. And second one is carousel system. We'll come back to these two things in the later stage. Next we'll go for the third one. Third one is unitizing equipment. As the word unitizing means, it refers to two types. First one is the container used to hold the individual item during handling. Container, it may be of pallets. It may be of some containers. Okay. The second one is the equipment used to load and package the container. Here, for packaging, it includes different categories. Depalletizer, designed to load and cut on the pallets. And the last one is identification and tracking systems. In this identification and tracking system, they will use the barcode readers. For example, you will go to some malls, you will buy some fruits or any items. While paying the money, how they will identify your items? Based on the barcodes, right? Similarly, in industries also, for each material or material handling equipments, it will be of barcoded. Nowadays, their improved versions are there, that is magnetic strips, radio frequency tags, etc. This radio frequency tags now we are seeing in the fast tags. While moving from the fast tags, you are seen in the tolls, where you want to move without consuming the time. So they are provided a fast tags there. Similarly, here also some frequency tags will be there, to identify the equipment. And the next topic is principles of material handling systems. In principles of material handling system, there are 10 principles. These principles have been found to be applicable in analysis, design and operation of material handling systems. In the first principle is planning principle. If you want to do anything, any manufacturing operations, first thing you should do is planning. Here also in material handling systems, you should plan deliberately to achieve the performance objectives. That is planning principle. Second one is standardization principle. If you want to do any operations, the first, after planning, you should standardize that operations. Here material handling system, you should standardize some material handling methods first. Then the material handling equipments, the control systems and the software what you are using to control the material handling system. All these should be standardized to achieve the better performance objectives. But the one thing, you should not sacrifice anything because of this standardization. Sacrifice in the sense, the flexibility, modularity and throughput should not be sacrificed because of this standardization. This is the second principle. Now the third principle is work principle. Any management system, they want work less and productivity more. This principle also deals with less work and more productivity. That is the third principle. Next, fourth is ergonomic principle. In any operations, without human interruption, no operations will be complete. Some human operation is required. So, before starting any material handling system, first you should know the human capability and limitations. You should recognize and respect in design of material handling tasks. That is the ergonomic principle. Next one is unit load principle. Already I have told you, unit load means there are several parts grouped together in a container to make a unit load. This unit load principle stands as one of the most important and widely applied principle in material handling systems. Because there are some good reasons why you should use these unit loads. The first one is the multiple items can be handled simultaneously. Second one, the required number of trips from loading to unloading station will be reduced. Third one, loading and unloading times will be reduced. And fourth one, the damage of products will be decreased. So this unit load principle is most widely used principle, applied principle. And next one is space utilization principle. Whenever the available space is there, you should use this available space effectively and efficiently. That is space utilization principle. Next, seventh one, system principle. Here, there are several systems will be there. Each system work differently. So, these systems should be integrated to work single. That is called as system principle here. And next one is automation principle. Automation means the manual working should be reduced to completely machinized environment should be created. That is automation principle. Here in automation principle, the material handling operation should be machinized where feasible to improve operational efficiency, increase responsiveness, improve consistency and decrease operating cost. This is the advantages by using this automation. And next one is environmental principle. In this environmental principle, the environmental impact and energy consumption should be considered as a criteria when designing or selecting the alternative equipment and material handling system. And finally, you have life cycle cost principle. Life cycle cost means an economic analysis should be done for the entire life cycle of material handling equipment and resulting system. These are the 10 principles of material handling systems. And the next topic is the selection of material handling equipment. Before this, you should know some analysis of material handling systems. In this analysis of material handling system, you should know what is facility layout. However, we will not able to study in detail the facility layout here, but you should know what are the information layout should provide for us. In this, some of the information layout should provide are: first one is the location where the material must be picked out, that is called as loading station. And second one, locations where the material should be delivered, that is unloading stations. Third one, the possible route between the loading and unloading station. Fourth one, the distance that must be traveled to move the material from loading to unloading stations. And last one, the arrangement of equipments in the layout. This information should be provided by the layout or facility layout. With this, we will know what are the selection criteria for material handling equipment. Here, the selection of material handling equipment start with the analysis. This analysis includes the characteristics of the material. In this, the first characteristic is the physical forms. It may be a solid, liquid, or gas. And size. It may be length, width, height, and volume. Next one, the weight. Weight per piece or weight per volume. And shape. Shape may be flat, long, round, or it may be a square. Next, the risk of damage. Either the material is fragile, brittle, or sturdy. How to Next is safety risk. The material carrying is explosive, toxic, or corrosive. Condition, the material what you are carrying is hot, wet, dirty, or sticky. And next one is the other factors. In this, the other factors are the quality of the material to be removed. Next, the scheduling of moves from loading or unloading station or from one workstation to another workstation. Otherwise, it is a continuous, it is a batch, it is one time. All this we will check here. And next one, the route by which the materials to be moved. Either it is a longer distance or it takes more cost. All this we will check here. Next is the miscellaneous factors. In this miscellaneous factors, some government regulations. In government regulations, you should carry only this much of loads from this. All these are some government regulations. And next one is loading and unloading equipments. For selection of material handling equipment, we will consider all these factors. In this video, we will discuss about automated guided vehicle systems, that is AGVs. This automated guided vehicle system is a battery powered driverless vehicle with programming capabilities for destination, path selection and position. That means in AGVs there will be no human operator to steer. It runs through the battery power and the program is done for the path selection, destination and position. Next is the components of AGVs. The first component is the vehicle. The vehicle which is used to move the material within the system. Next one is the guided paths. It guides the vehicle to move along the predefined paths. Next is the control unit. It monitors and directs the system operating, including the feedback on moves. Next, computer interface. All the work the AGVs will do with the interface of the computer and system, such as the mainframe host computer. Next, the different types of AGVs used. That is AGV towing vehicles. This, I think the boys know this. What is the towing? If you're in your friend vehicles, if petrol is over, you will tow that vehicle till the petrol bunk. In the same way, there will be several vehicles which is used to move one by one. That is AGV towing vehicles. It can carry a very large volume of loads, and it can also move for the long distance up to 1000 feet or more. That is about AGV towing vehicles. And next one is AGV's unit load transporters. As I told, unit load means there are several parts which is loaded into a single load. That is called as unit load. Here, these unit load transporters are often equipped with an automatic load transfer and normally used in warehousing and distributing systems. Here, the guided path lengths are relatively short, but the volumes are high. And the next one is AGV pallet trucks. Here, these are designed to lift and transport the palletized loads. The vehicle is used for picking up of load and dropping off loads from and to floor level, thus eliminating the need of fixed load stands. That is about AGV pallet trucks. And next one is AGV forklift trucks. These forklift trucks has the ability to pick up and drop the palletized loads both at floor level and on stands. Here, the pickup height can be different from drop-off height. Next one is AGV light load transporters. As the name tells, light load means this is used to carry the smaller loads. And these are designed to operate in areas where the limited spaces are there. And last one is AGV assembly line vehicles. These are the adaptation of light load transporters for application involving series of assembly processes. The guided vehicle carry the major subassemblies such as motors, transmissions, or even automobiles. The major advantage of AGV assembly line is lower expense and ease of installation compared to odd assembly lines. This is about the types of AGVs. Next, some applications of AGVs. In the application part, the first one is driverless train operations. Here, there is no need of human operators. These AGVs can run without the human operators with a predefined paths. This involves the movement of large quantity of materials over relatively large distances. For example, the moves within the large. And next one is storage and distribution. Here, the unit load carriers and pallet trucks are typically used in these applications. These storage and distribution operations involve the movement of materials in a unit load. The application often interface with AGVs with a small or some other automated handling and storage systems. And the third application is assembly line applications. In this assembly line applications, the unit load carriers and light load guide vehicles are used in these lines. In the usual applications, the production rate is relatively low and there is several different product models may be on the line. And the next one is flexible manufacturing systems. In the typical operations, the starting work parts are placed on the pallet fixtures by human workers. Then AGV deliver the parts to the individual workstations. When the AGV arrives the assigned station, the pallet is transferred from the vehicle platform to station for processing. At the completion of processing, the vehicle returns with the pick and the work part to the next assigned workstation. This AGV provides the versatile material handling system to complete the flexibility of the flexible manufacturing system. And last application is miscellaneous applications. The automatic guided vehicle systems include office mail delivery, hospital material transport, hospital guided vehicle transports, meal trays, medical and laboratory supplies, and other materials between various departments in the building. This transport typically requires movement of vehicles between different floors in the hospitals and have capabilities to use elevator for these purposes. AGV's technology is still developing and the industry is continuously working to design new system to respond to the new application requirements. These are some applications of AGVs. Next is the functions of AGVs. There are several functions that must be performed to operate any AGVs. Some of the functions are vehicle guidance and routing systems. This AGV's vehicle guidance system is to keep the vehicle in a pre-designated path. The main advantage of AGV's guidance is that the guide path can be changed easily at lowest cost compared to high cost of modifying fixed path equipment such as conveyor chains. This vehicle guidance system is further divided into 6 types. First one is wire guidance system or embedded guided wire systems. In these systems, the electrical wires are placed in a small channels or cuts in the plant floor that flows the required paths. The buried guide wire is connected to a frequency generator. This generator produces a low voltage, low current frequency signals. This creates a magnetic field along the pathway that may be followed by the sensors built in the AGVs. The steering of the AGVs is controlled by use of these sensors and the relative strength of the magnetic field on each sensor. The second one, optical guidance flow. In this, the AGVs can use the optical sensors to follow painted strips. These strips can be painted, taped or sprayed onto the floor. One of the main problem in this is the paint strips wear out regularly. And the particular advantages in this environment with high electrical interface where embedded wires cannot be used. At that time, this optical guidance system will be used. Next, we'll go for the third one, inertial guidance systems. In this inertial guidance system, the onboard microprocessor will be fixed, which is used to steer the vehicles on a programmed path. In this, a sonar system is used for obstacle detection and gyroscope for direction change of the vehicle. And the fourth one, infrared guidance systems. In this infrared guidance system, the system consists of infrared light transmitters, reflectors mounted in the roof of the facility to reflect the light and radar like a detectors to relay reflected light signal to the computer. The computer determines the position and direction of travel of the vehicle. That is infrared guidance systems. Fifth one, laser guidance systems. In this, the laser beam is used on a wall mounted bar-coded reflectors. Accurate location of the AGVs are achieved through these known distances. Next one, last one is teaching. In this type, a neural network concept is used where the programmed vehicle learns the path by walking through the desired route. They will leave the vehicle to move with the desired route. Then this desired route will be informed to the host computer what it has learned about the paths. The host computer in turn passes information about the new path to other automated guided vehicles. That is about teaching. These are some vehicle guidance systems. Next, we have the routing. In vehicle guidance, it is used to keep the vehicle in a predefined path. But in routing system, the AGVs in vehicle guidance systems, the guidance system is to keep the vehicle in a predefined path. But in routing, the process of making the vehicle to select the right path among the available paths. It may be you have different paths, but to make a right path, these routing systems are used. In this also, you have two methods to route the AGVs in a correct pathway. The first one is frequency based method. In this method, already we have discussed the embedded wires which are used as a different frequencies to create a magnetic field. All that we are told. In this, next one is AGV routing. This routing an AGV is a process of making the vehicle to select the right path among the available pathways. That means there will be a different pathways. Selecting the right way for AGVs is the work of these routing systems. In this, there are two methods available to route the AGVs in a correct pathway. The first one is frequency based method. In this frequency based method, the embedded wires are operated at different frequencies for each deviated path from the main line. The guided wire main line will have one frequency, while the deviated path will have different frequency. Hence, the system requires two or more frequency generators depending upon the number of destination and pathways required. In this operation, the AGVs from the main path has to deviate left or right at this junction. The sensors on the vehicles reads the identification code on the floor and select the path which has this code. The microcomputer in AGV is programmed by loading the operator to read the particular code. and select the pathway. Hence, the vehicle moves in a selected direction. That is about frequency-based method. And second one is path switch method. In this system, all wire guided embedded in the floor operates in the same frequency. But the routing is decided based on the path which is active, that is powered on. That means all the available paths, only the required path is kept powered on and all other path will be switched off. If the vehicle has to decide whether to take left or right in a junction, automatically follows the path in which the frequency generation is on. If it is off means it will not take that path. That is about path switch method. Next one is traffic control and safety. In this, more than 3 or 4 AGVs moving at a time, there is a chance of accident. To control that, there will be a sensors which detect the obstacles in the path. Then it will get solved. Similarly, the system management means to manage all these systems. There will be a host computer which decide the path for all the AGVs. That is about the vehicle guidance and routing systems. Next one is AGV's steering control. In this AGV steering control, there will be no human operator to steer the vehicles. So, to control the steer, the AGV vehicle to negotiate the turn physically in different ways. There are two control systems in AGVs. First one is differential speed steer control. In this, the amplitude detection type guidance sensors will be fixed. This control is based on the balancing of signals from left and right sensors. In the front of the vehicles, whenever the difference exists between the amplitudes of right and left signals, the steering system compensates by correcting the steering. This is about differential speed steer control. And the second one is steered wheel steer control. This uses phase detection type of guidance sensors to determine whether the vehicle is to the left or right path by detecting the positive negative phase of sensor signals received from the guided paths. The vehicle with steered wheel steer control have excellent tolerance along the guide paths. This is about the steering controls. Next, the control system. There are 3 types of control systems in AGVs. First one is computer control. It is a complex type of control system in AGV control system, but this is most efficient and also the most expensive system. And the next one is remote dispatch control system. In this remote dispatch control system, it has an automatic loading and unloading capability. That is one of the advantages in this remote dispatch control system. And the third one is manual control system. As you all know, manual control means one human operator, he will control each and everything. It is the simplest and least expensive of all these control system, but the efficiency of the system depends on the skill and performance of the human operator. And the next topic is automated storage and retrieval system, that is ASRS. In this, to know the storage system performance, there are various measures to assess this performance of storage system. In this, the first one is storage capacity. This storage capacity can be defined in 2 ways. The first one is simply the total volumetric space available to store the material. that is storage capacity. And the second one is defined as the total number of storage compartments in the system available for holding items or loads. That is called as storage capacity. This storage capacity uses a unit load principle to standardize the storage in storage systems. The number of unit loads that may be stored in a convenient metric can be easily captured. That is of storage capacity. Next is storage density. This storage density is defined as the volumetric space available for actual storage relative to the volumetric space in the storage facility. What the actual space you have and what actually the storage facility provide. That is called as storage density. Next one is accessibility. Defined as the capability to access any desired item or load stored in a system. That is called as accessibility. Density often has inverse relationship with this accessibility to the storage facility. And next one is throughput. It is defined as the hourly rate at which the storage system receives and puts the loads into the storage and also retrieves and delivers the load to the output station. Is called as system throughput. This storage system must design to meet the maximum throughput requirements, as variation in the levels of throughput should be expected throughout the working day. And next one is utilization. In addition to these four, the standard measures for machinized or automated systems are utilization and reliability. Utilization means the portion of time that the system is actually being used to perform storage and retrieval operation compared with the time that is available. That is called as utilization. This utilization is used in machinized and automated storage system analysis, and the desirable utilization pattern ranges between 80 to 90%. And last one is reliability. This is defined as the portion of time that the system is capable of operating compared to the normal scheduled shift hours. The total time the system is capable of operating is called as availability. And the last one is availability. It is defined as the portion of time that system is capable of operating compared with normal scheduled shift hours. When the system breakdown takes place, the downtime in the system includes computer failure, mechanical failure, jams, improper maintenance, etc. These are some system performances which is used to assess the measures of storage system. Next, the different components which are used in ASRS. In automated storage and retrieval system, the first component is the storage structures. These storage structures consist of racks framework used to support loads contained in ASRS. These are fabricated using steel which have sufficient strength and toughness to support ASRS loads. And the second component is SR machine. This SR machine means storage retrieval machines. This is used to accomplish the storage transaction, both delivering loads to the storage and retrieving the loads as required. This SR machine must be able to move horizontally as well as vertically with load along the front of the rack structures. The vertical motion, all of which attached to the base with wheels for horizontal motion along the rail system that transfer the storage aside. A parallel line at the top of the storage structure ensures the alignment of carriage with the rack structure. And the next component is storage module. The unit load containers of stored material including pallets, steel wires, baskets and containers. These storage modules are standardized in size so that it can handled easily by the carriage of SR machines. It also fits the storage compartment of the rack structures. These are called as storage modules. And last one is pickup and drop or pickup and deposit stations. This way loads are transferred in and out of ASRS. It is generally found at agile and of convenient access of external handling environment. The two functions may be divided into pickup function occur at one end and deposit function that may happen at other end. Alternatively, they may be combined at just one agile end depending on the layout of ASRS. The pickup and deposit station must be compatible with the both SR machine used and the external handling system in place. These are some components of AS, and next one is the different types of this ASRS. First one is unit load ASRS. The large automated system designed to handle the unit loads stored in pallets or containers. This computer controlled with automated SR customized for unit load. The variations of this is initial time. And the second one is deep line ASRS. High density unit load storage system used for large quantities of stack is called as deep line ASRS. And mini load ASRS. As the name tells, it is used to handle smaller loads that contained in bins or drawers in storage systems. Man on board ASRS. As the name tells, one human operator rides on the carriage of SR machines so that it allows the manual retrieval of items directly from storage location. This allows for increase in system throughput. Next one is automated item retrieval systems. The functionality is same or similar to mini load ASRS, but the item stored in lanes rather than bins or drawers. When an item is retrieved, it is pushed from its storage position so that it drops onto the conveyor directly for delivery to the pickup station. And last one, vertical lift storage module, VLSM. It is also known as vertical lift automated storage and retrieval systems. Here the same principle as the ASRS types are followed, except that instead of horizontal agile, the agile is vertical. That means the SR machines will move vertical. These are some different types of automated storage and retrieval system. And another types of storage systems are there that are called as carousel systems. This carousel system is one of with a series of bins and baskets suspended over the chain conveyor that revolves around a long oval rail system. The chain conveyor position the bins and baskets at the load and unload station at each end of the oval, the whole system being operated by human worker positioned at the loading and unloading station. In this also we have two types, horizontal carousel and vertical carousel. In horizontal carousel, the welded steel frames from the oval rail system, which can be either mounted overhead or from the below. In the top driven structure, the motorized pulley system drives the overhead pulley attached with the suspended bins. This move horizontally and move towards the operator at the loading and unloading stations. And vertical carousels, here the operator around the vertical conveyor loop, the operator, it has a limited floor space than the horizontal carousel system, but the space in a vertical plane, which means that they can be limited by size, building that house there. Because of this storage capacity, in general lower vertical carousels used maximum than the horizontal control systems. And some of the applications of these carousel systems. There are lot of applications. The first one is storage and retrieval system. Here the baskets or bins which can store the maximum number of goods compared to ASRS, and the operator will be at the one end. He will operate at loading and unloading station. So the applications in carousel system are more compared to ASRS. In this type, the first application is the storage and retrieval operations. As I told you, the storage and retrieval will be done at the one end, where the operator will standing at the loading and unloading stations. Particularly when individual item must be selected from the group of items in storage system, these operations will be used. And second one is transport and accumulation. In this type, the transport of sort of materials as they are stored. Next one is work in process, whereby they complete the automated storage and retrievals from the application where work in process is temporarily stored. And last one is specialized uses. For example, the use of carousels during the electrical testing of products, such that the carousel used to store the item during the test for a specified period of time. These are some applications of carousel systems.